I never saw it coming. I had always believed that we were perfect for each other. We had been together for so long, through all the ups and downs, and I never once doubted that he was the one. Our love was like the ones people talk about in movies. We laughed together, cried together, and grew together. But somewhere along the way, something started to change, and I didn't see it at first. Or maybe I just didn't want to. It was the small things. Missed calls, late nights at work, the silence where there used to be laughter. I convinced myself that it was just life getting in the way, that we were both busy and tired. But deep down, I could feel the distance between us growing. Then one evening, everything changed. He came home late, just like always, but this time, it was different. He didn't greet me with a smile or a kiss like he used to. He walked past me and sat down, looking at me with eyes I barely recognized. His face was filled with guilt and sadness, and I knew something was wrong. The words he spoke next shattered everything I had believed in. "There's someone else," he said, his voice trembling. I couldn't breathe. It didn't make sense. I thought I had misheard him, but when he repeated it, I felt my world fall apart. He said he was in love with another woman. He told me it wasn't my fault, that I hadn't done anything wrong, but the sadness in his eyes told me that wasn't true. The love we once shared was slipping away, fading like sand through my fingers. I wanted to scream, to ask why, to beg him to stay, but the words didn't come. All I could do was sit there, numb, as the life I had built with him crumbled before me. How could he choose someone else? How could he leave me? I couldn't understand why things had changed. But in that moment, I realized that the person I loved was no longer the person sitting across from me. The future I had imagined was gone, and I was left to pick up the pieces of a broken heart. I wanted to scream, to ask him why, to beg him to stay, but the words wouldn't come. How could he leave me for someone else? Wasn't I enough? I had given him everything, my heart, my trust, every part of me. How could he just walk away from all that we had built together? But the truth was, he had already made up his mind. The other woman filled the space that I couldn't. Maybe she was younger, more exciting, someone who didn't carry the weight of the years we had shared. Or maybe she was everything I wasn't, and that's why he chose her. He didn't want to hurt me, but it hurt just the same. Watching the love of your life walk away for someone else feels like you're losing yourself. The person you thought you knew, the one you built a future with, suddenly becomes a stranger, and in that moment, I didn't know who I was anymore. I tried to convince myself it was for the best, that maybe we had outgrown each other, but deep down, I knew it wasn't true. I had loved him with everything I had. He wasn't just my partner, he was my best friend, the one person I could count on. Now he was just gone. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. I woke up to an empty bed, and the silence was louder than any words he could have said. I couldn't bring myself to look at the pictures of us. Those memories that used to make me smile now felt like cruel reminders of what I had lost. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. My heart ached with a pain I couldn't describe. no amount of time seemed to heal it. I went through the motions of life, pretending everything was fine, but inside, I was broken. The person I had loved was with someone else, and I didn't know how to fill that emptiness. I felt lost, like I was walking through life in a fog. The world around me moved on, but I was stuck in the past, grieving a love that had slipped away. The ache in my chest didn't fade. It only grew stronger with each passing day. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't figure out how to let go of the love that had once been everything to me. It took time, so much time, to start picking up the pieces. The pain didn't fade quickly, but slowly I began to heal. I leaned on my friends, the ones who hadn't left me. They held me when I cried, made me laugh when I didn't want to, and reminded me that I was still worthy of love. But even with their support, there were days when it felt like the pain would never go away. I began to do things for myself again, rediscovering the parts of me that I had lost. I found comfort in my hobbies, in spending time alone, and in the quiet moments of healing. I realized, bit by bit, that maybe I wasn't the problem. Love doesn't always last, and sometimes people change. That didn't mean I wasn't deserving of happiness. And then, one day, I saw him again. It wasn't planned. I was just walking through the park, lost in my own thoughts, when I saw him sitting with her. A wave of emotions rushed over me, anger, sadness, but also relief. It hit me all at once. I had finally let go. The man who once held my heart was now just a part of my past. He had made his choice, and I had to respect that, even though it hurt. I walked past them, my heart heavy but steady. I didn't look back. For the first time in so long, I realized that my worth wasn't defined by someone else's choices. I didn't need him to feel whole. I had to move on, not for him, but for me. I was starting to understand that I was enough, just as I was. There would still be days when I would think of him, but those days became fewer and fewer. I learned to put myself first, to rebuild my life on my own terms. I knew that one day I would love again, but for now, I was learning to love myself, and that was enough. In the end, I realized that the hardest part of losing someone isn't letting them go. It's learning to let yourself heal. And I was finally doing that. Now, looking back, I realized that his leaving wasn't the end of my story. It was just a painful chapter. Yes, it hurt deeply, but it also marked the beginning of something new. It was the start of a chapter where I discovered a strength I never knew I had. I learned to love myself again and realized that I could be whole even without him by my side. Love isn't always easy. Sometimes people fall out of love. Sometimes they choose someone else. But that doesn't mean your heart will stay broken forever. It doesn't mean you won't find someone who truly sees you, loves you, and appreciates you for who you are. As for him, I don't know if he's happy with her, and honestly, I don't need to know. What matters now is that I'm learning to be happy with myself. I've let go of the past, and I've opened my heart to the possibility of a future that I never imagined. I'm no longer waiting for someone else to make me whole. I've learned that I am enough just as I am. Maybe one day, someone will come into my life who will love me the way I deserve. But for now, I'm focusing on loving myself first. I've stopped looking for answers in the past, and instead, I'm creating my own future, one where I am strong, confident, and ready to embrace whatever comes next. I'm finally at peace, knowing that the best love story I will ever have is the one I'm writing with myself. And that's enough for now.